Big Sills! And we have a public service announcement. Dak is back! Woo! You see those Cowboys last night? Holy cow. Unbelievable. How about them Cowboys? Damn. That's what I'm talking about. 21-30. 272. Touchdown. 109.3 QB rating. Ran the ball. Dual threat. 7 times for 40 yards. 312 yards in total offense. Dak is back. How you doing, man? Okay, not even I could really pull that off. Hey, not even I could pull that off, man. Holy shit. The Chargers? Really? The Cowboy fans are crowing over that? Holy cow, you talk about the sphincter muscle being as tight as it possibly could be last night against the shitty coach Chargers. There's talent on that team. But I can't lie to you and pretend. Hey, was that a big win for Dallas? Was that an impressive win? No. I mean, where was Tony Pollard? Dude, I get it. Okay, so Parsons mysteriously showed up at the very tail end of that game. He was nowhere in that ball game. Man, is he come and go. Come on, Cowboy fans. How do you come away from that win going, man, we're one of the better teams in the NFC? How do you do that? Man, that's all I've heard today. That's all I've heard. All day. Hey, was that an impressive win last night for the Dallas Cowboys? No. CeeDee Lamb is not a true number one. Like, would you put CeeDee Lamb in the category of the top? Like, when you look at CeeDee Lamb, do you see A.J. Brown? I mean, I don't see DeVonta Smith. Oh, I kind of see DeVonta Smith, but not in talent. I mean, how you look at Dallas compared to how you – I'm going to make a point to you here about how you look at Dallas compared to how you look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's do that here. Okay, there's now 6 games for both Dak Prescott and for Jalen Hurts. Who's had a better year? Individually. Who's had a better year? We did this exercise a little bit yesterday, but now we got both quarterbacks with 6 games in. Who's had a better year? Let's take a look at that. Attempts, 213 Hurts, 190 for Dak. Completions, 132 for Dak, 141 for Jalen. Completion percentage. Dak has him here, 69.5 to 66.2. I'm okay with both numbers. Yards, 1333 for Dak, 1542. Yards per game, 222 for Dak, 257. Almost 260 yards a game. Now, obviously, here's the difference, but not by a lot. So Prescott's got 6 touchdowns and 4 picks. I don't know. To 7-7. We look at Jalen Hurts not having a good year. We look at Dak having a good year or a decent year. But the perception is that Dak had a good game last night. He did. But against the Chargers, I mean, I think you got to put everything in context on a week-to-week basis and how you look at people and how people cover people. Yes, Dak Prescott has the most visible job in professional sports in America, being the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. And everything he does is scrutinized. Okay. That's why you make $50 million. And then on the second tier of that, if you're a starting quarterback in the NFL, I don't care if it's the Texans, it's a high profile gig. But yet, Jalen Hurts is looked at right now. Man, there's just something wrong with him. There is some mechanical issues going on here. We're going to get to that here in a minute. But look at how you look. I mean, so Jalen's not, nobody in Philly would go, Jalen's having a great year. But yet people in Dallas are going, man, Dak, he was great last. And you're like, man, I mean, really? Let's do this. Outside of that horrific play against the Jets, if Jalen doesn't throw that pick in that game against the Jets, don't you come away with that game going, yeah, you know, those other two picks weren't really on him. I didn't think he played that bad. But look at how he's risen the bar. Look at how he's taken that up here. That's a testament to him. Dak's bar's down here. Jalen Hurts has elevated himself to where if he doesn't look anything like he did in 2022, something must be wrong. When really there's just some mechanical and schematic things wrong with Jalen Hurts this year. You know, I'm going to tell you something, and somebody pointed this out to me today, and I think this is going to put things in better context for you. Speaks to the standard both fan bases set for their quarterbacks. That's right. We sit in here every day and go like this. What's wrong with Hurts? If you cover the Eagles, what's wrong with Hurts? In Dallas, you're doing this. Hey, how about Dak last night? How about Dak last night? This ain't just about last night. This is about what you've done so far in your trends. How is he playing this year? I look at him and go, he ain't playing better than Jalen Hurts. Dak Prescott's not having a better season. Here, Dak Prescott's not having a better season than Jalen Hurts, and Jalen's playing B- football. Okay? They're playing B- football. You guys want to hear a statistic about red zone offense in the NFL this year? It is the lowest in 10 years scoring. NFL scoring is down for the first time in 10 years. All across the board, scoring is down in the NFL. What does that tell you? It's not an Eagle thing. It's an NFL thing. Did you hear what I said? Red zone scoring is down, the lowest it's been in 10 years. That tells you exactly what's happening here with these defensive coordinators. They're catching up to the game. They're schematically coming up with ways of not getting guys into the end zone. And I would say this too, the officiating in the NFL, what's crazy about what's going on in the NFL with the officiating, they're going to throw flag after flag from 20 to 20, and they're going to walk you down to the 20. But once you get into the red zone, you don't see a lot of flags being thrown in the red zone. And that's why there's not a lot of scoring. Officiating, because it's a subjective call, pass interference, I freaking hate that too, that it's a spot foul. All some of these quarterbacks like Joe Burrow or some of these other guys like Mahomes have to. And for the record, Jalen doesn't get that a lot. Because dual threat quarterbacks really don't get that latitude on that throw when you look at a dual threat guy. The drop pack guy gets that. He also gets basically officiated differently in the slide. Red zone offense is at an all-time low. That is not just an Eagle thing. It's a league issue. And I promise you, the National Football League, with their relationship that they have with the gamblers, that is not something that they're going to be happy about. The brotherly shove will be outlawed because you know why? It doesn't put any points on the board. That's a play that makes the game look slow. That's why they hate it. And they'll come up with injuries, as they always do. It's funny. The NFL does nothing about concussions to the players, but they hide behind it when they need it. That's who the league is. I'll always say it's caused by coordinators leaving teams, staying 1 or 2 years, and then become head coaches. Dirty D, that's a spectacular point. That is really a great point. Right? That is a great point. It's just like your government. 4 years, you have one guy, all of a sudden you have a completely different philosophy the next 4 years. Then you go back to another one. That's why there's no consistency in Washington. That's exactly why you don't have consistency in coaching. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And that's why Howie and the Eagles have done something different than a lot of other teams don't do. Most coordinators bring their system in. That's not what's going to go down that way. That's not how that's going to go down. They're going to fundamentally have a system in place. That's a really great point, Dirty D. Great point. You're never going to, hey, Dirty D, think about this. Peyton Manning had one coordinator for a decade. And that's why he was able to have the success he had in Indianapolis. Bruce Arians, he was in Pittsburgh forever with Roethlisberger. That's why they had success. Anytime you can keep people in the room and anytime you can keep your coaches intact, there is no, that's why you're trying to find a play calling head coach. That's why Andy Reid has so much stability in Kansas City and had it in Philly. You know why? He's a head coach play caller. Same thing with McVay. Anytime you get a guy like that, you see, Belichick, the reason that Belichick put Patricia in as offensive coordinator, he's looking for control of the offense. And it failed. He can't do it with a D. He needed to have one. That's why they brought Bill O'Brien back. Okay? Totally. I mean, that's a great point. I mean, make no mistake about it. Now, here, I'll say this to you. There's no question that the Eagle offense has had issues with it, and we know why now. And I would like to ask you, what do you think is the main issue when you're talking about the Philadelphia offense right now? Just an overview. Do you believe organizations are going to start targeting OC candidates that don't have aspirations to be head coaches? Could that be an interview question GMs start asking? No, I think they'll just start elevating from within. Tone, I think they'll elevate more from within. That's why Howie has control over the roster and the hirings. He's looking at potential offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators inside of his own building. Remember something. Vic Fangio was in the building, and they were going to elevate him from special advisor to the defensive coordinator's role, but he didn't like how that thing with Gannon went down, so he went to Miami. Okay? Cody says it's not Johnson's fault. Hurts sucks. Completely untrue. They are letting Jalen be himself. That's what Steichen did. I think Steichen didn't have as much control. Hey, you know what the control is on Hurts? Hey, don't get hurt. That's the only thing you have to tell Jalen. Players executing, here's what's happening to him. Do you know who's holding on to the football longer than any quarterback in the NFL? It's Justin Fields. Do you know who's second? Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is holding on to the football the second most of any quarterback in the league in the pocket, which is causing pressures and indecision. Why? 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 And by the way, I'm also going to make another point here. Why is Jalen holding on to the ball? Relative says it's the play design. I thought they were running the same offense as a year ago. Basic schemes? Dude, they're running the same shit they ran last year. Why is he holding on to the ball more? What are people doing to him that he's struggling with? Struggling that he's apprehensive with. I would say because the wide receivers aren't getting open fast enough. I hadn't thought about the routes. They sure look like the same routes to me. I have a opinion. This will be an opinion coming up. Jalen saw a ghost? Absolutely not. That's not a ghost guy. That's a tough dude in the pocket. He is not a cowardly guy. Okay? He is reverting back to some of his basic stuff that he did early on in his career when he first got the starting job. He is reverting back to some of that. Rolling right, not taking internal pressure well. You know, his issues are not when somebody comes off the edge. His issues are when somebody comes up the middle. That's when he's feeling it. They're not coaching Jalen the right way. What is that way? Like Dak? Like Dak? Hurts is not trusting his eyes. Okay, well, let me throw this at you. Tone, everyone. I don't know how you'll receive this. But let me ask you this. How do you think the offense has performed since the blow up on the sidelines with A.J. Brown? It's just an observation. How do you think the offense has looked since the game 2 blow up on the sidelines? Good? Is it getting better? Has the offense flowed better since week 2? Again, I don't know if I'm right. I'm asking an observation question. I'm not even sure it's an opinion yet. How has the offense looked? Not for just AJ. How has the offense looked since the week 2 blow up between AJ and Hurts on the sideline? AJ's taken off. But how's the offense looked? How has the passing offense looked? Thank you, Scott. How has the passing offense looked? Better? Because you're going to one guy? How have you looked moving the chains? Do you think you have the same chemistry with Goedert and DeVonta that you did a year ago? I don't. DeVonta's regressed. He's regressed. Regressed in the offensive approach, not as a player. Horrible because everything is going to AJ. They aren't spreading the ball around enough. It's a one-dimensional. Can they fire the OC midseason? They'll never do that. I don't think the offense looks bad. It just doesn't look seamless. It's kind of tough because it's all been shaky from the beginning. Eagles are moving the chains better for sure, but I see a decline in Goedert, Smith's impact in the offense. Okay, so that means the offense doesn't move the chains like it did a year ago. And it's easier to defend. That's why your games are closer. You're right, you're moving the chains, but you're not moving it with the same problem that the coordinators are having. Coordinators are not having a problem defending you. That's why every game's close. They have turned that offense into a one-dimensional, one-play guy. They're letting AJ get AJs. The rest of them, they're defending the rest of them because they're not going to go to them. It just seems to me since the week 2 conversation, we don't even call it a blow-up, a conversation that the offense has declined in other ways in how they approach defenses. The problem with AJ's targets isn't the amount. It's the fact that they often come in bunches and looks forced most of the times. And not only that, though, it's easier to defend. Keep them out of the red zone. And the Eagles have been bad at the red zone. And that's why you're kicking field goals. Because you're not spreading the ball around to the other guys like Goedert and Swift, who last year, here's the two components that, do you know what's missing? It's almost like I'd rather not have Swift be part of the passing game. Because last year it looked better than having him part of it. I mean, their emphasis on trying to get him involved has come at the expense of DeVonta Smith and Dallas Goedert. Look at the numbers. Not only look at the numbers, look at the sequences when you're watching a game on how everything is, once they get off that script and they have to start play calling, it just doesn't look smooth. There's no rhythm to it. I mean, if you're going to do this, if you're going to target Swift at the expense of Goedert and DeVonta Smith, I'd rather not have you throw the ball to him. I just would rather not have you throw it there. I mean, DeAndre Swift has 10 targets. How many targets in the last game did he have 10 targets last game? How many targets did DeVonta have last game? And how many targets did Goedert have? Sills, can this and will this get fixed? I don't know. It's the coordinators. And it's a philosophy. Goedert had 8 last game, and Smith had 11. So you're telling me that DeAndre Swift had just as many targets as DeVonta Smith and Dallas Goedert had 8? And so a number 5 tight end in the National Football League has been underutilized the entire year at the expense of DeAndre Swift. And your offense looks not as smooth as it did a year ago. You see, again, this is not about numbers, as you guys tell me. This is about defending. Last year, one of the hardest things to do, sometimes less is more. Okay? Sometimes less is more. Last year, you had to go, okay, shit, man, DeVonta. I'll tell you what, I do think DeVonta Smith is frustrated now. Okay? I think he is frustrated. Goedert is. Goedert, there's not a chance in hell Goedert's getting 800 yards receiving this year. No way. No how. I mean, and get this, right now, DeVonta Smith is trending under 900 yards. Or no, he's trending under 1,000 yards. He could feasibly have the worst yardage year since he's been an Eagle. That's his rookie year. And everyone loved what he did his rookie year. He could have the same numbers that he did his rookie year. At the expense of DeAndre Swift? Just saying, since week 2 and making sure that they get that football to A.J. Brown, that offense, in my opinion, has become predictable and easy to defend. And when Barb goes, that Hurts has been off all year. Well, yeah, he's been off all year because you're not targeting, or you're not utilizing the better players on the team. Nick's philosophy is a problem. Explosive plays. Here, get this. Shouldn't it go down this line? My number one target is A.J. Brown. My number two target, or 1A, is DeVonta. Number 1B or C is Goedert. Swift should be the last option. Or get this. How about this? Tone, everyone, this is your problem here. Your coordinator doesn't have a feel who should be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. In his eyes, just like Saturday, when they heard that those corners were out for the Jets, they had a predetermined approach on how they were going to approach the Jets instead of waiting to get to the game to see how Robert Saleh, how he was going to adjust. When you have weapons like that, you get into a game and you go, Swift is the guy. Maybe he is the guy. DeVonta's the guy. You don't go like this. Let me get all the footballs to A.J. Brown, no matter what. That's plug-and-play offensive coordinating. That is a plug-and-play. Swift should be strictly a check-down option. That's it. Goedert is a cheat code, and they don't realize it. How about this as a check code? How about this? When he is block and release, Dallas Goedert, boy, I'll tell you something. Your philosophical thinking and how you approach a football game, we're going into week 7, is horseshit. That guy doesn't see the game very well, I don't think. I think AJ and Smitty pouting got in Jalen's head, causing him to second guess a lot. You're hoping that's not true because that's high school football shit. Man, I don't care. You know what? Most of the alpha quarterbacks, they don't care if you're pouting. It's the NFL, man. You get paid on Tuesdays, whether you have 1 catch or 20 catches. You see the way I look at AJ, and tell me I'm wrong here with AJ's philosophy. In my opinion, AJ Brown would be good with 14 catches, 148 yards, and he don't give a shit if you win or lose. But that's the mentality of almost all wide receivers in the NFL. I mean, why do I feel that A.J. Brown, and get this, do I feel that way about DeVonta? I don't. I wonder if DeVonta thinks they're going to the wrong guy with the load. And how about this? Do they call better plays for A.J. than they do DeVonta? Sure seems it. You know, you can have better play designs for you than the other guy. That's why you're looked at as a number 2 sometimes. You think they have the same play calls and the same routes for CeeDee Lamb that they do Brandon Cooks? Of course they don't. Of course they don't have the same ability. And they're trying to get AJ open. Are they trying to get DeVonta open? I don't know. And is it in his head now, the drops? Put more pressure on him? You're onto something. Goddard and Smith's route concepts suck. They do. I went back and I watched the 22 of that Jets game. Do you know why Robert Saleh and the defensive coaches knew that Jalen would throw a pick? Do you know why? I wanted to know why. I watched that play. He was just tunnel vision on him, on his route and who he was throwing to. By the end of that game, Jalen wasn't moving safeties around. He wasn't moving them around. He stared that guy down, and they knew if they showed blitz, that guy'd throw the ball there, and he did. And he jumped the route. Pick. Man. Dude, when you got a coordinator and a head coach saying that he knows the quarterback's going to go back to that, you're predictable. You're predictable. Joseph goes, Sills, are these guys hard-headed? I don't think it's hard-headed, really. I think it's inexperienced. What would make anyone think? You know what everyone in here thought, because Jalen Hurts and Brian Johnson were boys, that mattered. I don't want my best friend to be my coordinator, because he may have to say some shit to me that I may have to hear, that I don't want to hear. Great coordinators are not your boys. They're going to tell you, you're getting your ass blocked. That sucks. That's not a good read. They're not going to coddle you because you're boys and I've known you since you were 2. What's that got to do with anything? It has nothing to do with it. A relationship is built on success. It's not built on playing with Tonka toys. A crazy concept on how people think about that. Well, they know each other. So what? Do you think Mike McDaniel knew anything about Tagovailoa when he got down to Miami? He's transformed that guy into a modern-day Dan Marino. He's taken that guy, and he has designed – let me say something to you about route running. You want to watch route running? You want to watch how you design offenses for all guys like Jalen Waddle and – dude, that guy Chase Claypool is going to be a factor on Sunday. You know why? Waddle and Tyreek Hill have embraced him. They're going to have 3 dudes out there running routes on you, and you, my God almighty, you don't have a defensive back there right now that's going to cover those guys. And you have to watch the Dolphins run routes. I've never seen anything like it, maybe since Bill Walsh. These play designs, and then you turn around, you watch the Eagle play designs. You go like this. Dude, it's night and day. It's night and day. They're not putting great routes up for Goedert and for – it's almost like they're like the second options. When you should be – I'll tell you this. You know why Goedert and DeVonta Smith are aggravated? Because when they see the routes and they know the routes that are going to be called in a play, and they know they're not going to be open, but they're decoys to get AJ open, that's why they're bitching. It's not about the targets. It's about the routes they're running when the balls are going to AJ. You know, you can have quality targets compared to non-quality targets. Nobody talks about this. Do you really think that DeVonta Smith and Dallas Goedert have more quality targets to get them open compared to AJ? AJ's wide open at the expense of the other decoys. Am I right? Watch the game. I watched the Jet game twice. I watched Dallas Goedert. Dude, there's one thing when you go like this, 8 targets. I watched those 8 targets, and I went like this. Tone, I went like this on those 8 targets. 5 of them were catchable. I looked at DeVonta's. Sure, the drops, I get it. But his targets, they're not the same quality targets. And what I mean by targets, routes. And when you combine not having a feel, now you know why Hurts is second in the NFL in holding the football in the pocket too long. You got one guy open, and if he ain't open, no one's open. Or you have more difficult throws, hence the picks, hence the tips. The interceptions, you may say aren't Jalen's fault. It's the concept's fault. You got to watch these 22s. It's in front of you. You watch Dallas Goedert run a route, you go like this. They're not trying to get this guy open. And then when the ball goes, there's more quality routes going to AJ. The entire play design, when they come to the line of scrimmage, Robert Saleh and that defense on the Jets knew this. They're going to run the quality route to this guy, AJ, and get this, they're going to give up 10 targets to Swift. Because you know why? It's umbrella. It's underneath. He's not going for. I'd like to know how many first downs he's gained on his catches this year. I'd really like to know what that number is, because that's a trend. With his catches that he has, how many first downs has he gotten on any one of those catches? Has he got one? Because if you're a coordinator, you're going to let him catch those all day long. I don't want Goedert coming down the seam on me, because that guy will take it to the house. You got two players that could take it to the house, and you're running the routes for him and Swift. You're trying to get Swift open. You see it in the way that they approach when they get into a sequence of series. The two dudes they're trying to get open are Swift and AJ. You know, I had a conversation with Dave Wanstead on this. I go, Coach. He goes, well, shit, Dan. Do you think they were trying to get Alvin Harper open more? Or do you think North Turner was trying to get Michael Irvin open more? Michael Irvin. I go, do coordinators run lesser routes? He goes, no, they run more decoy routes. And the reason that Alvin Harper was important to the Cowboys, because every team had to respect the team speed that he had going up the seam. Remember something. Irvin wasn't a speed demon. The guy that was the speed demon in that North Turner offense was Alvin Harper. And Harper was the guy that kept the top on the entire offense and how they approached it. Okay? See, again, you see a guy like Scott? He'll go like this, second offense. You're right. It's just as good. That's why tight end and your wide receiver, you're going to be shredded this week. Shredded. And Vic Fangio knows this. You don't think he knows Brian Johnson? He's going to know exactly what to do. How'd that second offense do against a shitty Jets defense? How did you do against one of the worst teams in the league? Well, Sills, their defense is really good. Don't talk to me about being really good when you don't show up on a 6-game basis. You know what made it easy for the Jets to go against you? You know what made it easy? You were so predictable. I don't really have to have a defensive scheme when I'm playing against you or coordinate against you. I know what you're doing. You're using Dallas Goedert as a decoy. DeVonta Smith will have the lesser route. A.J. Brown, you're trying to get open. And you know what I'll do? I'll keep you 20-20. Once you get into the red zone, you don't have really a red zone back, and you don't do jump balls because you're afraid of turnovers, and that's why you kick field goals, and you'll lose probably 4 more games this year. You can't fix that. If your philosophy is to try to get one guy open on better routes than the other guys, you can't fix that. You can't fix that unless you change coordinators. And then what you do is you throw your offense into chaos when you start getting a different voice in the room. They're not going to mess with that. They're going to ride that thing out. Now, there may be more input, but what would Sirianni's input be? He sucked as a play caller in the RPO. See, Nick is in the wrong team. Nick's on the wrong team to take the play calling over. He's on the wrong team. You know why? He don't know how to coach an RPO guy. What RPO quarterback has he ever coached in his entire career? Name me one. Jacoby Brissett in Indy? Okay. How'd that work? The rest of these guys, he's been around people like, there's a reason Phillip Rivers is the go-to guy for Nick Sirianni. Name me one thing that's remotely close that Phillip Rivers and Jalen Hurts have in common. Nothing. Nothing. Why would you have Hurts watch Phillip Rivers? should be watching Steve Young and early Russell Wilson stuff. Commenting on the dumb comments any longer by some of you, because most of you don't know what you're talking about. All you have to do is tune on and watch the 22 or inside. And you'll see that the routes that Dallas Goedert and the other guy, DeVonta, get, most of the time, they're decoy routes. You know where this came up from? Tone, you know how I got this? Watching the Miami Dolphins run routes. You watch the Miami Dolphins watch routes and watch the Dolphins and then watch your guys. And you tell me if it's remotely close. Not even in the same world. I put the Dolphin 22 on. And I'm watching the Dolphin 22 and I'm going, how come they don't run routes like that on the other side of? Do you understand that that's why that offense is humming on all cylinders and they're averaging almost 320 yards a game? You know why? Because as a defender, you're not running decoy routes on the other side. You're running a route that you think could go to Jalen Waddle. And now that they got this kid Chase Pool, and he's going to be the third guy, so you're going to have Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Chase Claypool running routes on you under Mike McDaniel. Good luck. You don't have the personnel to defend that. The Eagles do not. Shit, I don't know how many teams in the league have the personnel to defend that. Let me say this to you. That Dolphins team would destroy that Cowboy team. Chase Claypool as a 3? Who's your 3? Who's your 3? Who's your 3? He's better than, I guarantee you. See, you guys don't look at matchups. You guys look at Chase Claypool and go, he's not a 1. No shit. He's not a 2. No shit. Who's covering him? Is Reed out? A rookie? The word is on the street, Howie's looking at 2 things right now. You know what they are? He's reached out to Leonard Fournette, and he's looking for secondary help. Well, it's too late now. Whoever you bring in now ain't gonna save you for that Dolphin game. That ain't going to save you. That ain't going to save you. Okay? So, in other words, the Eagles will be getting their asses handed to them. No, King. No. Because here's what the saving grace is with the Eagles when they go into football games. The saving grace is 95% of the time, they're going to go into football games with the better roster. When you go into the why do you think the Commanders stay so close to you in the last 2 games? You know, in the last 2 games, the Commanders are 1-1 against you. And get this, they have closed the gap. How many people believe that the Commanders have closed the gap on you? They beat you in a shitty decision not to go for it at the end of the game. And a coaching blunder gave you the game in overtime. How many people will sit here and go like this? The Commanders aren't close to us. Well, that's not how the last 2 games have played out. Here, live in denial again and say that the Commanders haven't closed the gap on you. Go ahead. Well, Sills, they're not very good. Well, they're good against you. They're good against you. Wait a minute. I love this. You want to, hey, Tone, you want to see something? You watch Eagle fan right here not admit that the coaching staff in Washington knows exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why they've closed the gap on you. It's not personnel. It's philosophy. They're 1-1 against you. The Commanders with far less talent. How's that possible? This is not just, well, that was a lucky game last. They beat you the game before. Oh, and you had Jalen Carter. They're not with them. What do you mean? I said the last 2 games, dude. The last 2 games. Commanders win and should have won this last game. So you're 1-1 versus the Washington, whatever they're calling themselves. How is that possible? Because of everything I just laid out to you on how this offense has regressed. Your offense is by far regressed. And then let's add this little sprinkle into it. Hey, Jalen, slide, get down, don't get hurt. So you add all that in. Lack of creative routes, telling your quarterback to get down and not get hurt, putting better route systems up for A.J. Brown, and establishing Swift and Brown with better creative routes than the other 2 guys. That's why you're letting every game and everything. Get this. And to go to like some idiot's thoughts in here. Well, there's second-rate offense. Your second-rate offense doesn't do shit in games except keep the other teams close in games. Is that a far off statement? Tone, would you agree? The offense this year keeps more teams in games by far than they did a year ago. And you haven't even played really tough teams. You played a Jets team without the chicken's head on. You played the 32nd best passing game in the NFL, and that guy beat you. Your offense keeps every team in the game. Second-ranked offense ain't shit. They better stop playing. No. Hey, let me say this to you guys. When you watch the Dolphins, now I'll give you this. That guy in Miami, I have not seen a play designer like that guy in Miami since Bill Walsh. He's unconventional. There's no doubt about it. But boy, I'll tell you, man, that guy can put an offensive attack together. When you watch Jalen Waddle and you watch Tyreek Hill and you watch those 2 guys run up, you don't know where the ball's going. And that's opening up that run game. You know, they got 2 backs with 400 yards in 6 games. They got 2 guys with 400 yards apiece already. Wow. We're going to look at the Dolphins. Also, my lists are out. Top 10 teams in the NFL, top 10 quarterbacks. We're going to do that at the top of the hour. All you need to know how good your number 2 ranked offense is. How does Washington stay in every game now with you? You think that Commander game, the next time you play them, is going to be easy? You might want to pump the brakes on that. They know how to defend you. You better hope Lane's playing. Because that D-line is the best D-line you've played. How does Washington, tell me this, how does Washington stay in the last 2 games now? Once they got killed in that game last year, the first one, Ron Rivera knew how to defend you. Came up with a good game plan. Get this, I would say this point to you. For the last 8 quarters, Washington's outplayed you. How's that possible? You got the better talent. How's that possible? Washington, one of the lower tier teams, has your number. And they give you a game every week. Oh, let me guess. You overlook them. You overlook a divisional opponent. Sure. Dirty D goes, you're out coached. By far. By far. Divisional games are always play us hard. You think the Giants play you hard? The Giants? When's the last time the Giants had a competitive game? Jalen's first year starting? 21? You know, the last time the Giants were competitive against the Eagles was 2021. Again, you know, everyone keeps looking around at, you know, Jalen Hurts here. Dude, and get this. Their mentality is, let me get AJ established and Swift at the expense of the other two has made the offensive passing attack wobbly. And that's why DeVonta and Goedert are no longer engaged. Get this. When you give me a route and I'm a tight end and I know that you have no intention of coming to me with this route, after 50 routes like that, do you start to becoming less engaged? When you know you're giving me double coverage and AJ gets single coverage, how many times did you see them line him up out wide against the Jets down on the perimeter down there? I counted 6. I didn't see DeVonta opened up like that. And I always saw Goedert lined up over an end. I never saw him wider off the line of scrimmage because they were getting Swift involved. Since the week 2 conversation on the sidelines, everything is targeted for your guy. Hey, and that's why the interceptions are up. And do you know that right now Jalen Hurts has 8 turnovers? He has 8 turnovers. Tone, will you double check that to be sure? Can you double check that? Does Jalen Hurts in 6 games have 8 turnovers? I would like to think that an ass whooping from the Jets will wake them up. 7 picks, 1 fumble. Jalen Hurts has 8 turnovers. He has 8 turnovers in 6 ball games. You're not even through half. He's a turnover machine right now. So not all on him, Sills. No shit. That's what I just said. Get this. The guy Scott in here, second best offense, and a quarterback with 8 turnovers. Great. 22-2. Second best offense, you say. 22-2, 8 turnovers. And you look at the Dolphins. Dolphins. 38 points a game. Those turnovers go against the way Jalen plays the game. He has to answer for them. But at the same time, what are these coaches telling him? They're not. Did you hear Brian Johnson at the press conference today? Whatever they are drawing up is causing him to force the issue. Did you hear Brian Johnson today? If you go and you watch and you listen, you know what Brian Johnson today said? He's happy with the run to pass differential and balance in the attack. Those were his words. I almost fell off my chair. He's happy with the direction of the offense. we're winning in spite of horrible coaching. Brian Johnson is happy with the direction of the offense. I honestly, I almost fell off my chair. I'm like, what are they smoking? Go watch it. Yeah, I was really happy he was happy with 45 passes and the amount of runs they had in the game. I think I could even pull that quote up. You're happy with Hurts throwing the ball 45 times against a team that can't stop the run. Oh, man. Jesus criminy. You can't. There's Tone's arrogance. There's arrogance. That's the arrogance. I'm not coming out on a press conference telling people that I'm happy with the direction of the offense when you got two other wide receivers or a tight end wide receiver that you haven't established all year long. And those are main people. By the way, Dallas Goedert and DeVonta Smith are elite players. They're elite players that they haven't even basically taken out of the garage yet this year. I'm happy. I bet they really are happy with him throwing more. The sad thing is, we watch this team every week. We're not stupid, Nick. We're not stupid. No. This is the lying I'm telling you that the NovaCare Center does and that people with key fob chains do. They're lying to you. You're not happy with that. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with that offense. I just wish to God, you know what? Shane Steichen has been sorely missed. You know what? I didn't think it, but I thought Jalen would be okay without him. No doubt about it. He is sorely missed. He is, no question about it, sorely missed. Whatever he did, and get this, you can't say they're playing the better part of their schedule yet because you haven't played a winning team yet except the Bucs. I mean, it's not like you're playing world beaters here. Side note, I hated the Eagles uniforms, white shirt and black pants. Spent a whole game explaining to my wife, Williams brothers were not us. Oh, man. Zach Wilson, the 32nd ranked quarterback in the NFL, beat you. Oh, man. Look at this. Tua, 312.7, 14 touchdowns, 5 picks, 114.1 QBR, 2 backs over 430 yards rushing. Tyreek Hill is averaging 136 yards with 6 touchdowns in 6 games. This guy's on pace for 2,400 yards. Jalen Waddle averages 60 yards a game. You got 2 guys averaging 200 yards a game receiving. You got 2 backs that are averaging 85 yards a game rushing. Jesus criminy. Somebody tried to tell me maybe they are holding back their bet. Holding back what? Like, who do you think you are? The 72 Dolphins? Somebody tried to tell me maybe they are holding back their best players for the tough part of their schedule. And he says he almost fell off his damn chair. I mean, who do you think you are, honestly? Who do you think you are? Like the Jimmy Johnson Cowboys? You're not that team. You're not that deep. You're not that good. What have you won? Look, it's one thing to be like Shaq and Kobe. and Rick Fox on the team, and you got a bunch of snipers on your team. I mean, right? You got a bunch of great players, and you're waiting for the playoffs. You ain't got that. And you got Phil Jackson as your coach. I mean, don't get ahead of your skis here. And people keep, what's crazy is people keep saying this to me. Sills, will it get better? Will the philosophy? So wait a minute. You think the Eagle coaching on the offensive side is going to change its philosophy mid-season? Julio Jones is an Eagle? Did they sign Julio Jones? Another Bama guy? Here's the thing with him. He'll get hurt somewhere in the next 4 games, collect his money, go on IR. Julio Jones? Now, maybe that's for red zone. They didn't sign Julio Jones. When's the last time he played? 2 years ago? Didn't he get hurt Bucks a year ago? Red zone problem solved. Julio Jones, according to Scott, solves the problem. Think this guy loves hearing himself. Via Adam Schefter, 7-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Julio Jones is signing a 1-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. Julio Jones. I'm sure that'll make DeVonta happier. Maybe they're not happy with DeVonta. I didn't know wide receiver was a problem. Is he going to be your third guy? All right. Yeah, seriously. Is he going to play safety? I got to feel that this is the end of Quez here. Man. You signed Julio Jones. I would rather have you signed T.O. Quez is on IR. He's done. Dude. Julio Jones. Julio Jones. Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, hang on. Hey, Tone, I'm taking it in. The Eagles signed Julio Jones. I'm sure Brian Johnson will get him open too. Brian Johnson should be working his ass off. Hey, Tone, can you please put that super chat up? I don't want to miss any of the folks. Thank you very much. Brian Johnson should be working his ass off knowing that there's not any opportunity for black coaches to become head coaches. That's a backdrop to it, death row. Of course it is. Okay? Sean Desai is kicking ass over there on the other side of the football. Okay? He's kicking ass. I like what he's doing. Now, hey, maybe, man, they're looking at this as a red zone opportunity thing here for, why wouldn't you throw it up for AJ? Or Goedert? Why another wideout? Julio had 2 years to get healthy. Absolutely. And it's his ankles. Shannon Sharp told me the problem with him. He's got awful ankles. Dude, Julio Jones. You see what they could have signed Adam Thielen. See what he's doing in Carolina? Is it Carolina he's at? Dude, you need safeties. You need some more corner depth. Because he has no idea what he's doing with this offense. It's like, did Brian Johnson go to like Howie and say we need another wideout? Why would Howie get this? Here's a even more puzzling thing. Did Brian Johnson go to Howie Roseman, or did Nick and them say we need more offensive weapons? Or was this just done by Howie? Who made this call? Do you really think? So wait, let me ask you this. All of you who think, how many in here think that Nick Sirianni has complete autonomy with the roster on Sundays? I see all you guys in here saying that you guys tell me that you think Nick Sirianni has total say on the roster. Along with playing with Brown in Tennessee, Jones was previously played with the Eagles wide receiver Zacharias when the two were together in Atlanta. Great. Sounds like a great brotherly love family there in Philly now. Coordinator knows Jalen. Receivers know each other. Hey, sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. Okay? I got to take a time out here, man. I've got to get to this Sirianni thing. My top 10 quarterback list. My guy Tone will join us at the bottom of the hour. By the way, Dave Hyde from the Florida Sun Sentinel will join us. That'll be at 4:30 Eastern time. We will do all this. Julio Jones has signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to know why. We'll hit on that. Keep it here on the National. Oh, wait, by the way, do me a favor. Holy cow. My friends, listen to this. Please do me a favor. Fill out our Hooters gift certificates right there at Dan Sileo Show at Gmail. I talked to Gary, the area president from Rhode Island, all the way to King of Prussia, and all of the locations in the New Jersey area for our friends at Hooters. The 40th anniversary, it is one gigantic blowout. I thank you so much, Gary. Had a great conversation with him today. Spectacular stuff. It is the 40th anniversary. Get this, from Rhode Island all the way to King of Prussia. That's where the Hooters are located. And any one of the 7 locations, please go to northeasthooters.com to find one of those locations nearest you for you to go in and experience what I've been talking about for 40 years. If you don't want to go into any one of the places, please use the apps, HootersToGo.com. Tuesdays, buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless free. Wing Wednesdays, 1983, and I confirmed it just to be sure. That is the year that Hooters was founded. They just had their birthday, too. And you're going to love this. All you can eat 1983. By the way, on the gift certificates, Tone's going to throw out a code word throughout the 4 hours. From Tuesday until Friday, all you have to do is identify it. You email us, and we will announce the winner on a football Monday. We got a lot to hit on in hour number 2. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.